Tonight, a bushfire rages out of control in Port Lincoln. And historic next steps. The South Australian Indigenous Voice to Parliament introduced to the Legislative Council.
From our 7 Spencer Gulf Studios, your nightly news with Madeline Kerr begins now.
Good evening, thanks for joining us. First tonight, an out-of-control grass fire is burning in Port Lincoln. Gusts over 80 kilometres an hour have been recorded, along with extreme temperatures above 40 degrees. Reporter Edward McCarroll was on the scene as the fire first broke out.
A raging inferno, all within eyeline of horrified onlookers. CFS emergency warnings have been ringing out over Port Lincoln radios this afternoon, with the bushfire taking hold on Stamford Drive. 40-degree heat and strong gale force winds seeing the fire continue to burn towards Tolka. CFS Deputy State Controller Brenton Hasty says the fire is burning with a high level of intensity, producing lots of smoke that will be visible to people in Port Lincoln and the surrounds.
Unfortunately, the City of Port Lincoln waste landfill facility has been directly impacted by this fire, and the main waste cells are well alight and are producing a very large column of thick, black, hazardous smoke. We believe there are a number of premises that have been directly impacted by this fire, and so we believe there's structural losses that have occurred. We will have more detail once the main effort shifts from that firefighting and that direct attack and trying to stop the fire, and once we move into that next phase, which will include that rapid damage assessment process.
Nearby homeowners helplessly watching on as the plume of black smoke continues to grow. Here on a vantage point on Explorer Road, the fire can be seen peaking just beyond that hill, coming dangerously close to cars and houses. 7 aircraft have been deployed, including a Black Hawk from Adelaide. Water bombers are continuing to circle the area, while emergency crews on the ground have closed roads and continue to hold back the flames. Edward McCarroll, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
Edward McCarroll reporting there, thank you. A man has been arrested after a fight broke out in Port Pirie South, which led to a man being stabbed. The incident comes amidst a raft of petty crime across the mid-north. But as Annabelle Francis explains, yesterday's events were far from petty.
That's right, Maddie. It all went down yesterday afternoon, just after 3 p.m. Police and paramedics were called here to Kingston Road after reports a man had been stabbed. A 27-year-old man from Risdon Park South sustained a stab wound to his back. He was treated at the scene by paramedics before being taken to the Port Pirie Hospital. Thankfully, his injuries are not considered life-threatening. A 30-year-old man from Port Pirie West has been arrested over the incident, charged with alleged aggravated assault causing harm. He has been bailed to appear in the Port Pirie Magistrates Court on the 27th of March. Police say the incident is not believed to be random, and the alleged weapon has been seized. Detectives from the Port Pirie Criminal Investigation Branch will continue to investigate and ask anyone who witnessed the incident to contact Crime Stoppers on 1800 333 000.
Annabelle, thank you. The historic South Australian Voice to Parliament has been introduced to the Legislative Council, paving the way for change. With active consultation and decision-making coming together, the SA Voice could be vital in helping regional Aboriginal communities address fundamental challenges.
After months of planning, discussion, debate and confusion, the SA Voice to Parliament legislation was introduced to the Legislative Council by the Attorney-General. The state government says the SA Voice will benefit communities like Port Augusta, as Indigenous people will be able to have a say and influence on combating the many challenges ahead.
Really well supported in this local community. It's going to give our First Nations people a real and meaningful interaction with Parliament on issues that affect them and bills that affect them.
Where measures really do need to simply reflect the ideas and the operations and the programs that will work for Aboriginal people, by listening to Aboriginal people about how they should be working, I think that's what the Voice will truly add.
The Liberals will finalise their position next week, with Labor still aiming for a bipartisan approach.
I would hope to see their support for the Voice. I would hope to see them support what we saw at the last state election, where there was an overwhelming support for the policies of the state Labor government.
The Voice legislation is expected to pass the Legislative Council tomorrow before it heads to the House of Assembly, where a final vote on the bill is due next month. But details like the electoral boundaries for the Voice body are still yet to be fully determined.
There'll be at least 6. However, there's a leadership group, should the legislation pass, who will then be consulted to create regulations, which is a standard practice when we have an area of fine detail. The Act will set the broad parameters and then the regulations will be consulted on.
History in the making. Daniel Pizarro, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
Broken Hill City Council has held 2 public auctions for houses with unpaid rates. The properties were snapped up by bidders, with some getting a new home for a bargain price.
The public auction that was held at the Civic Centre on Wednesday has been deemed a success, with all properties sold.
Variety of houses, vacant land, rights of way, all achieved relatively good prices, good attendees, good bidders, so successful day one, most definitely.
One of the unique things about Broken Hill is the right of carriageway access.
What a right of way is that you've got adjoining neighbours abutting on this laneway, if you call it, and therefore they've got a right of carriageway access, legal access to get to their backyards.
The council were active bidders on the rights of way, making sure squatters can't set up shop.
So that residents could feel secure that council owns the land and therefore no one else could buy it to plonk a caravan there or set up camp.
Today's auction went a little bit quicker, with not as many people in attendance, but staff at the auction were happy overall.
In essence, there was only 15 or 13 so of vacant land houses that were sold today. So the auction went quick on day 2 based on those figures, but overall everything got sold today.
If you missed out on the chance to get to the auction on either day, don't fret, because it may become a yearly occurrence. Joshua Mercer, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
Still to come tonight, more than just a railway town. Peterborough pushing for more tourism outside of what it's known for. And rounding off all their hard work. Gymnastics coaches and behind-the-scenes staff acknowledged at an awards night. Welcome back. A major tourism forum has been held in Peterborough as the town aims to attract more visitors. The Mayor, District Councillors, businesses and organisations all came together to hear ideas on what the town can do, aside from the historic railway it's known for.
The people of Peterborough are discussing the town's future in the tourism industry. A major forum held at Town Hall brought in ideas and solutions to expand the historic railway town's allure, following months of research and development of the District Council's tourism strategy.
Business people first thing this morning, and then the community have been invited to come in, look at the results and add to it if they wish, criticise it, add other ideas, and that's exactly what is happening here this morning.
Advertising on TV was one, developing of monuments depicting of different items such as the Gorders line, the farming community, there was a wide range of things brought up today.
Other ideas include improving the look of the town with simple suggestions like making footpaths tidier.
I know it's a council job, but if everybody did it, it would just help so much. Encouraging businesses to advertise their opening times and to stick to those opening times. Encouraging people to advertise. Coming up with new strategies to ask people to come to Peterborough and see what we've got.
Business owners are keen for tourists to stay in the region longer and see Peterborough as more than just a stopover or steam town.
There's quite a number of ideas put forward, some really good ideas amongst them. So hopefully that will help the input to the tourism strategy that the council adopt.
Daniel Pizarro, 7 Spencer Golf News.
The Port Pirie Regional Gymnastics Academy is home to some incredible athletes, and there are dedicated coaches and staff behind the scenes. Over the past couple of weeks, the team has been recognised both locally and statewide for their efforts.
Tricks like this don't happen overnight and involve a lot of hard work, trust and communication. And that is what the coaches strive for in the gym.
We are trying to create a really positive culture in the gym, so we try to coach the athletes as humans before gymnasts.
At the Port Pirie Sporting Association Awards night, Kelly was recognised for her hard work, admitting she often forgets everything she does for the academy.
Sometimes you don't really realise that the things you do here are important, so to hear it kind of listed and said out loud and all together was like, oh, okay, that's why I'm so tired.
Another coach was awarded for her positive coaching methods.
Gymnastics is such a hard sport, both physically and mentally, and I felt like I could bring my spontaneity into the gym and help these girls have fun at the same time as work hard.
And there's more to gymnastics than meets the eye, with a lot of planning going on behind the scenes. Alicia Murdoch received Administrator of the Year. Despite the abundance of awards, the Academy is only looking forward.
To win the Country Cup again, that'll be cool. Yeah, and just to see the girls thrive at what they love. Yeah.
We have diaries and they write all their goals in a diary, so it'd be really nice for them to be able to achieve some of those goals.
Annabelle Francis, 7 Spencer Golf News.
Stay with us after the break. Even more money awarded to the Far West to continue the never-ending mission of fixing local roads. And is your next pet waiting for you in Port Lincoln? That's next. Welcome back. Police have found 2 cars and 3 e-bikes that were stolen from 3 Port Lincoln homes last week. One car was recovered on Nuntina Road yesterday morning and the other on Cronin Avenue. The stolen Cube Mountain e-bikes were located at Mallee Park Oval shortly after. Police are continuing their investigation. Roads in the far west of New South Wales are in for another financial boost, this time from the federal government. Both Broken Hill City Council and the Central Darling Shire have received the funding through the Local Roads and Community Infrastructure Program. Joshua Mercer has more.
The funding comes as part of Phase 4 of the program and means that councils in the Parks electorate can plan ahead for priority projects. The funding was set up by the Coalition to help councils during the pandemic. Member for Parks Mark Coulton happy the funding has continued through Labor. 18 councils in the Parks electorate have a share in the $500 million program. Broken Hill City Council is set to receive $310,000 for projects, while the Central Darling Shire will get over $1 million in funding. The money will go a long way, especially after the severe flooding event that hit parts of the Central Darling Shire like Menindee and Ivanhoe. Roads there have been badly affected. It's not the first time Broken Hill City Council has received a cash injection through the LRCI program, with previous funding used to fix footpaths in the Silver City. Fixing roads in the far west is high on the agenda for both the state and federal governments. Just last week, Broken Hill City Council was awarded $1.3 million to do up Thomas Street, while the Central Darling Shire Council pocketed more than $2 million to seal and reseal Racecourse Road in Menindee.
National Adoption Month is fast approaching and Port Lincoln's pet stock is ready. With an assortment of adoptees from the RSPCA in attendance, you may have the chance to meet your next family member.
It'll be raining cats and dogs at Petstock next month as the Petspiration Foundation connects people with their perfect companions.
So the Petspiration Foundation help organise National Adoption Month. So throughout March we help raise awareness and educate people about adoption.
The RSPCA will be bringing along animals available for adoption and foster care.
It's a promotion that we run every year in partnership with Petstock, just to help get some of our beautiful babies find new homes.
With an overflow of animals desperately in need of homes, it's the success stories that make all the hard work worth it.
She needed to go home for a couple of nights. It was on a weekend, she'd just been dissexed. So I took her home and I said, well, I'll foster her. But, the rest is history.
Along with finding homes for fur babies, the team is excited to educate the community about the benefits of fostering and adopting.
Yeah, we always need foster carers, especially with kittens. Kitten season hits us pretty hard.
We can educate people about adoption rather than free kittens or breeding if they don't have to be breeding. There's plenty out there already.
It's one of the best things I've done. That's the reason I can get up in the morning now.
I'll see you there on Saturday the 18th of March. Alison Hall, 7 Spencer Golf News.
Stay with us. After the break, Port Lincoln Fish and Chips is back for the first time this year. And Alex Sykes has the very latest weather details. Welcome back. Well, it's been a while since we saw him last, but Port Lincoln's resident fishing expert is back, along with a lengthy list of what's biting and where. From Tommy Rafts to blue swimmer crab, Jamie Crawford has you sorted.
G'day and welcome to Fishing Tips in Port Lincoln. We'll start locally in the bay. There have been a few whiting around, a little bit scattered, but there are some nice fish up along the North Shore and up near the sand hills at the north of the bay, especially late in the day, and they have been good sized fish. Blue crabs are getting better and better all the time. There's been some good catches taken up at Louth Bay and also in the proper. Once again, drop netting around about 3 to 6 metres of water has been producing a few. There's been a few kingfish visiting the town jetty, especially early in the mornings. Those fish have been up to around about 70 centimetres. Moving offshore, there's been some tuna down at the Cabbage Patch and also some tuna at the south side of Thistle and also around Low Rocks. No big fishes yet, but quite a few fish in the 8 to 12 kilo bracket. Moving over to Coffin Bay, there's been some whiting out at the farm beach grounds. They have been a little bit scattered, so you'll have to move around a bit to find them, but there's been some nice garfish and some nice tommies over that way as well. Well, that's all for tips this week. We'll see you again next week.
G'day and welcome to this week's Fish Tips from Port Augusta, Jewel North. Well, the tides have gone a bit slack at the moment with Dodge Tide, but there's still lots of crabs around, mainly up around the old powerhouse site. Seems to be the best spot for them, around Dick's Hole. It's a nice garfish getting caught on those on the calm mornings actually, out drifting along the front of the shacks. Salmon trout can be found up around the old powerhouse site, around the Port Patterson and the old oyster run as well. That's all we have from the Jewel North.
Good stuff. Jamie and Aaron always giving us their insight. Thank you. But it's time now to take a look at what's happening in the weather with Alex Sykes. Alex, as we saw earlier, today's extreme temperatures caused dangerous bushfires to ignite in Port Lincoln.
Yeah, that's right, Maddie. Just following on from Edward's report, CFS has confirmed multiple properties have now been destroyed. At least 84 CFS firefighters in 26 trucks were deployed to the scene at Stamford Drive earlier this afternoon. And on top of that, 8 aircraft were involved, including fire bombers and a Black Hawk. Police, ambulance, council and crews from the National Parks and Wildlife Service were also in attendance. A reminder, inhaling smoke is hazardous. Residents are being advised to stay indoors with the windows closed if you're not in an evacuation zone. As for today's temperatures, Maddie, 40 degrees in Port Lincoln, far warmer than the predicted top of 37. And as you said before, gusts of up to 80 kilometres an hour were recorded, which would have made the fire all the more rampant. Elsewhere, 43 degrees in both Woodner and Port Augusta today. Looking more broadly at today's weather map now, 42 in Whyalla, Port Pirie and Cooper Pedy today, 39 in Broken Hill and Adelaide. Taking a look at the satellite image now, a ridge will dominate southern parts of South Australia over the weekend until a high pressure system forms to the south of the Bight early next week. This new high will drift across Victoria and into the Tasman Sea midweek. Moving on to tomorrow's weather outlook now, and we'll start with the Gulf waters. Southwesterly winds 10 to 15 knots, turning southerly up to 20 knots. Seas between 1 and 2 metres, and south to southwesterly swell around a metre, increasing up to 1.5 metres. Significantly cooler in Port Lincoln tomorrow, set to reach a high of 25 degrees there. Mostly sunny and 27 in Cleve, and mostly sunny and 35 in Woodna. Blue skies in Whyalla and a top of 28 degrees, bit warmer in Port Augusta, 34 degrees tomorrow. Kadina sunny and a top of 35. Port Pirie sunny on Friday and around 31 degrees, between 16 and 32 in Clare. Light winds around Broken Hill, sunny conditions and set to reach 41. Taking a look further through the week now, starting with Saturday, sunny and 31 in Port Augusta. 34 in Woodna, 36 in Broken Hill, mostly sunny conditions in Whyalla, Port Lincoln, Port Pirie and Kadina. Moving on to Sunday's outlook now, blue skies across the board, sunny and 35 in Port Pirie and Broken Hill, 37 in Port Augusta, 31 in Whyalla, a sunny top of 27 in Port Lincoln, 29 in the capital. And finally, taking a quick look at how Monday is shaping up, temps jumping back up in the 40s in Woodna, Port Augusta and Cooper Pedy, 34 in Whyalla and Kadina, partly cloudy and 28 in Port Lincoln. And just to confirm, Maddie, the temperature is set to drop back down to the mid-20s in Port Lincoln tomorrow, while Broken Hill can expect extreme heat. It's back to you, Maddie.
Thanks for that, Alex. Stay cool if you can. And that's the local news this Thursday. I'm Madeline Kerr. From all of us here, thanks for joining us. I'll have updates a little later. But until then, enjoy your evening. Good night.